Hey everyone! In this video, we will learn about one more feature of object-oriented programming known as polymorphism. So, what is polymorphism? Let's open our slides to go through some of the properties for this before getting into the code. Polymorphism means having different forms. It can be implemented in different ways. It's a very important feature of object-oriented programming languages. We have already seen a glimpse of Python polymorphism. For example, our print function that we have been using all along can print strings as well as numbers and Boolean data types. That's also called polymorphism. It can not only work with different data types but also on different number of arguments. Now let's talk about Python duck typing. We know that Python is a dynamic programming language. That is, when we declare a variable, we don't need to declare the data type of the value the variable is going to hold. Python uses special kind of dynamic typing known as duck typing. It gets its name from a saying, if I see a bird that walks like a duck, quacks like a duck, and swims like a duck, then that bird is a duck. In other programming languages which uses static typing like Java or C#, they first verify the data type of the object, whereas in duck typing, if we have specific properties and methods, that object is considered of a specific type. That is similar to if it quacks and if it swims, it's a duck. We can implement polymorphism by using different classes which have same method names. Here in this slide, I have got this person class which is a superclass, and we also have a child class employee which extends from the person class. Both of these classes have a walk method defined in them. They have different implementation of this walk method. Now if I call walk method on each class objects, they will provide different results. Let's switch over to our IDE and see this live in action. Let's define a person class. It doesn't have any attributes and it has method walk. And in the implementation, I can write person walks. Let's create another class, employee, which extends our person class. This class also doesn't have any properties, but let's write walk method, and in the implementation simply print professionally walking employee. Let's define another subclass of the person class, class student. For this also, let's define the walk method and print walking student in the method body. We can see that all of our classes have an implementation of walk method that is different from each of the other classes. We can invoke this walk method on instance of any of these classes. Let's create an instance of each of these classes. First we create person class instance, person equals person, then employee emp equals employee, and finally let's create student class instance, student equals student. Now we can call walk method on each of these objects and they will return different results. We can also wrap them in a container. Let's create a list of persons, and let's add each of these person object in this list. I can iterate through this list, and while iterating, I can execute the walk method on each of these objects. For person, in list of persons, person.walk. If I run this code, it prints different messages for each of the objects. So you can see that we can have a container that contains different kinds of persons, And depending on the person type, it will provide different results for each person class. Let's comment out this iteration of persons. We can also have a function that takes any kind of animal, def make it walk, and it takes any living animal. Inside the function body, simply call livingAnimal.walk. Now in this function, we can pass any object that has walk method defined in it. So I can invoke this function, make it walk, and pass our student object in it. Let's execute the code, and it prints message from the student class. But we can also pass an object of any class which has walk method defined in it. Let's create brand new class tiger, and this class doesn't extend any of the other classes explicitly. Define the walk method, and inside the walk method, let's print hungry tiger looking for food. Let's create an instance of the tiger class here. Now I can pass this tiger class instance in this function call. And now if I execute the code, it will print a message from the tiger class. So that's how you can make a function work on different kinds of objects. So that's called polymorphism in Python.